Hey everyone, and welcome back. If you're trying to figure out which characters are actually worth building in Wuthering Waves version 3.4, you've come to the right place. With new updates, balance changes, and fresh team combinations constantly shaking up the meta, it can be hard to know who's dominating the battlefield and who's starting to fall behind. That's exactly why we're breaking everything down in today's tier list. In this video, we'll be ranking the best 5-star and 4-star characters across every major role, including main DPS, sub-DPS, and support. Whether you're looking to maximize your endgame performance, clear the toughest content more efficiently, or just decide where to spend your resources, we've got you covered. So grab your favorite resonator, sit back, and let's see which characters are ruling the meta in Wuthering Waves version 3.4. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking characters in Waves version. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Yang Yang, Taoshi, Yuhu, and Lumi. Now we're entering the part of the tier list where the characters are not terrible, but they also won't make your account feel like it's suddenly unlocked easy mode. Think of these units as the co-workers who do their job, show up on time, but never volunteer to carry the entire project. First up is Yang Yang. Everyone gets her for free, and honestly, she does a respectable job early on. Her aero grouping is useful, her damage is fine, and she helps smooth out beginner teams. The problem is that she gets replaced faster than free trial software. Once you start pulling stronger sub-DPS characters that offer real damage buffs, Yang Yang starts feeling like the tutorial version of what your roster could become. She's not unusable, she's just very weak 1 energy. Then we have Taoki, who had a small glow up thanks to Jinsei teams. She can now function as a quick switch sub-DPS while boosting resonant skill damage, and that's genuinely nice. But Taoki still suffers from the same identity crisis she launched with. Part of her kit scales one way, part scales another, and her shields never quite feel as satisfying as they should. It's like she was designed by 2 developers arguing over what role she should play. In the right setup, she contributes solid value, but she always feels 1 balance patch away from finally making sense. Yuhu is probably the most casino support character in this tier. She can heal, buff, and help with vibration strength depletion, which sounds amazing on paper. Then you realize many of her effects depend on a random kit-based role system. Sometimes she gives you exactly what you want, other times she hands you a buff your team barely uses and stares at you like, "You're welcome." Her outro skill only boosts coordinated attacks too, and since only a handful of resonators rely heavily on those, her value becomes pretty niche. Fun concept, unreliable execution. Finally, there's Lumi, a straightforward sub-DPS who buffs resonant skill damage through her outro skill. Her Forte Circuit and Resonance Liberation actually hit pretty hard, and when everything lines up, she can put out decent burst damage. The awkward part is her basic attack phase in the 2 light modes, where the momentum drops noticeably. You spend part of the rotation feeling strong, and another part wondering why the damage suddenly took a coffee break. She's workable, but she rarely feels like the best use of a team slot once stronger alternatives appear. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Jiangxin, Lingyang, Yinlin, Rover Aero, Aalto, Yuanu, and Chixia and Baiji. One thing you will notice about the B tier characters is that they all bring something valuable to the table, but each of them has a limitation that stops them from climbing any higher. They're the kind of characters that can absolutely work in the right hands, yet they always seem to be 1 step behind the biggest stars in the current meta. Jiangxin is probably the definition of versatility in Wuthering Waves. She can function as a main damage dealer, a sub-damage dealer, provide grouping, deal area of effect damage, and even boost resonance liberation damage through her outro skill. The problem is that being good at everything often means not being the best at anything. As the meta evolved, characters with more specialized roles started outperforming her, leaving Jiangxin in an awkward middle ground where she is reliable but rarely the optimal choice. Lingyang finds himself in a tough spot because the competition around him has become much stronger. His damage output is not bad, but many other standard 5-star characters simply bring more damage, especially when fighting large groups of enemies. On top of that, he still lacks a dedicated Glacio support that truly unlocks his potential. As a result, Lingyang often feels like a character waiting for future teammates rather than one leading the charge right now. Yinlin remains a very strong sub-damage dealer thanks to her ability to boost both electro damage and resonance liberation damage while also triggering coordinated electro attacks from off the field. That kind of passive damage is always valuable. However, newer multi-wave content has exposed one of her biggest weaknesses: mark application consistency. When enemies constantly appear in new waves, maintaining her setup becomes less reliable, causing her overall value to drop compared to some newer options. Rover Aero is a character whose biggest problem is not their own kit, but the lack of teammates that fully benefit from it. They are excellent at applying negative effects to enemies, but there simply are not enough characters that can consistently capitalize on those effects. Despite that, Aero Rover remains the best support option for Aero Erosion teams, which are among the strongest team compositions currently available. Their future looks promising if more synergy-focused characters arrive. Alto is one of those characters who quietly does a lot of things well. He can deal respectable damage, boost aero damage for teammates, and contribute as a sub-damage dealer without feeling completely dependent on the rest of the team. Unfortunately, characters like Mortefi make life difficult for him by providing significant damage even while off the field. When players compare the two, Alto often ends up losing the battle for a valuable team slot. Yuanwu brings a surprisingly useful toolkit to the battlefield. Like Mortefi, he can continue contributing damage through coordinated electro attacks even after leaving the field. He also helps deplete enemy vibration strength, making it easier to stagger tougher opponents. The issue is that enemies need to stay inside his area of effect for this utility to work. Against highly mobile bosses, that circle can start feeling less like a battlefield advantage and more like a polite suggestion. Chixia is a character that rewards aggressive and active gameplay. Her mobility, ease of use, and strong damage make her very effective against bosses, especially when players are comfortable repositioning and dodging attacks. The funny part is that her greatest strength can become a weakness when surrounded by large groups of enemies. One moment you're dashing around like an action movie hero, and the next you're getting surrounded from every direction, wondering how things escalated so quickly. Rounding out the tier is Baiji, the dependable healer many players rely on before obtaining Shorekeeper or Verena. She provides strong burst healing through her resonance skill and resonance liberation, while also offering long-lasting healing and attack boosts to the next character entering the field. The catch is that her buffs only affect the immediate character she swaps into, rather than the entire team. Compared to Verena's much more flexible party-wide support, Baiji can make team rotations feel a bit restrictive. She gets the job done, but she definitely makes you work a little harder for it. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Calcharo, Encore, Rover Spectro, Rover Havoc, Jinsi, Changli, Zheji, Zhangli Yao, Camellia, Rocha, Buling, Mortefi, and Danjin. If B tier was the land of solid performers, A tier is where we start meeting characters that can genuinely carry teams and dominate content. These characters are powerful, reliable, and often become the centerpiece of entire team compositions. The only reason they are not sitting at the very top is because someone else eventually came along and pushed the power ceiling even higher. Calcharo is still one of the coolest electro main damage dealers in the game. His ability to unleash massive electro damage through both his resonance skill and resonance liberation makes him incredibly satisfying to play. The arrival of Yinlin was a huge win for him, giving him a partner that perfectly complements his playstyle. Together, they create a team that can melt enemies surprisingly fast, proving that Calcharo is still far from retired. Encore is basically the definition of all gas, no brakes. Her entire kit revolves around dealing as much fusion damage as possible, and when she enters Cosmos Rave, things get ridiculous. The amount of damage she can output in those 10 seconds is enough to make most enemies question their life choices. The downside is that Cosmos Rave offers very little protection, so getting interrupted can quickly turn an amazing damage phase into a very awkward one. Spectro Rover continues to be one of the most flexible characters in Wuthering Waves. They can contribute meaningful damage while also bringing one of the strongest utility effects in the game through their outro skill time stop mechanic. Their resonance liberation hits surprisingly hard as well. The problem is that flexibility often loses against specialization, and dedicated main damage dealers or sub-damage dealers usually outperform Spectro Rover in their respective roles. Havoc Rover takes a completely different approach. Instead of balancing multiple roles, they focus on overwhelming enemies with aggressive damage output. Activating Dark Surge is straightforward, and once it is active, their basic attacks become the real star of the show. Pair that with a powerful Resonance Liberation and a unique synergy with Dreamless, and Havoc Rover can erase both bosses and groups of enemies in record time. Just make sure your dodging skills are up to the task because maximizing Dark Surge uptime is everything. Jinxie may not be the newest superstar anymore, but she remains one of the most destructive spectro damage dealers available. Her Resonance skill and Resonance Liberation hit with absurd multipliers that can instantly swing a battle in your favor. Even now, watching a fully built Jinxie unload her burst damage is incredibly satisfying. The only thing holding her back is that newer characters have started raising the bar, making her feel slightly less overwhelming than she once did. Changli is another character that proves raw damage never goes out of style. Once her fourth circuit is fully stacked, she can unleash devastating fusion attacks while simultaneously boosting her own attack after using her ultimate. Technically, she can also function as a sub-damage dealer, but asking Changli to spend less time on the field feels a bit like buying a sports car and only driving it around the parking lot. Her damage potential is simply too high to ignore. Jeji has quietly become one of the most valuable sub-damage dealers in the game. She provides resonance skill amplification, additional Glacio damage support, and fits perfectly alongside some of the strongest main damage dealers available. Being the preferred teammate for both Jinxie and Carlotta gives her incredible versatility, and few characters can claim to be such an easy fit across multiple top-tier teams. Xiangli Yao remains an excellent main damage dealer thanks to his ability to slow enemies and unleash tremendous damage through resonance liberation focused gameplay. Build around liberation damage and he rewards you with some impressive numbers. Unfortunately, timing has not been kind to him. The arrival of Augusta has placed a massive shadow over his role, making it harder for Xiangli Yao to stand out despite still being extremely capable. Camellia is one of those characters that feels smooth from the moment you start using her. Her Havoc-based attacks have impressive range, strong area coverage, and satisfying combo chains that let her dominate groups of enemies. She also benefits from having easily accessible teammates, making team building far less stressful than with some other premium characters. Even so, newer Havoc units have begun stealing the spotlight, leaving Camellia looking slightly less impressive than before. Roxia is an outstanding Havoc sub-damage dealer who brings far more than just extra damage. She increases Havoc damage, boosts basic attack damage, and provides useful grouping effects that make clearing enemy packs significantly easier. Her personal damage is also high enough that she never feels like dead weight. The catch is that most of her value shines brightest inside Havoc-focused teams, which limits the number of team compositions where she can truly excel. Bueling proves that 4-star characters can still compete. As a healer support, she provides healing, applies electro flare effects to enemies, offers resonance skill damage amplification, and even helps group enemies together. That is a surprisingly packed toolkit for a 4-star character. While premium supports may still outperform her overall, Bueling does enough things well that she remains a legitimate option for many players. Mortefi continues to be one of the most valuable 4-star characters ever released. His coordinated fusion attacks allow him to keep dealing damage while sitting safely off the field, dramatically increasing his contribution during battles. On top of that, he synergizes particularly well with characters that rely on heavy attacks, which happens to include many powerful damage dealers. Every time a new heavy attack focused character appears, Mortefi somehow finds another reason to stay relevant. Finally, we have Danjin, the high-risk, high-reward queen of free-to-play damage. She is capable of outputting astonishing numbers for a character that costs nothing to obtain, but there is a catch. Her health-draining mechanics demand constant attention. Against difficult enemies, every mistake feels expensive. In the hands of a skilled player, Danjin can look like an S-tier character. In the hands of someone who forgets to watch their health bar, she can become a very fast trip back to the respawn screen. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Verena, Jiyan, Carlotta, Phoebe, Brant, the Cantarella, Zani, Chacona, Cartitefea, Lupa, Galbrenna, Kyuyuan, Chisa, Rebecca, Lucy, and Saohua. Verena continues to prove why she is one of the most valuable support characters in Wuthering Waves. She heals, buffs the entire team, and even contributes additional spectro damage through coordinated attacks while staying on the field for only a short time. That low field time requirement is what makes her so powerful, especially alongside damage dealers that want to spend as much time attacking as possible. She may not offer the flashy critical rate and critical damage bonuses of Shorekeeper, but Verena's efficiency keeps her firmly in the top tier. Jian remains one of the most reliable damage dealers in the entire game. Whether you are fighting a single boss or clearing waves of enemies, he has the tools to handle both situations comfortably. His ultimate not only deals tremendous damage, but also groups smaller enemies together, turning chaos into a neatly packed damage showcase. The addition of Wuthering Waves has given him an even stronger niche, helping him remain relevant despite the constant arrival of newer characters. Carlotta has established herself as the premier Glacio damage dealer, specializing in consistent burst damage that revolves around her resonance skill. Her synergy with Jeji is particularly impressive since Jeji amplifies both Glacio damage and resonance skill damage, creating one of the strongest partnerships in the game. While newer metas have shifted focus toward other archetypes and Glacio units have become less common, Carlotta still delivers enough raw power to remain among the elite. Phoebe is one of the most flexible Spectro characters available thanks to her connection with Spectro Frazzle teams. She can function as a main damage dealer when enemies are affected by Spectro Frazzle, but she also transitions smoothly into a sub-damage dealer role when needed. Her ability to amplify ally damage and reduce enemy Spectro resistance gives her a valuable niche. Outside of Spectro Frazzle teams, she becomes less impactful, but within that role, she performs exceptionally well. Brant is a character whose versatility keeps him relevant despite showing signs of age. His rotations are longer than many modern characters, and his damage output is not quite as explosive as newer fusion options. However, Brant can support resonance skill focus teams, fusion focus teams, and even provide sustain during combat. He may not be the absolute best at any one thing, but his ability to fill multiple roles at once makes him a surprisingly dependable option. Cantarella is a dream character for Havoc teams. She provides healing, sustain, resonance damage amplification, Havoc damage amplification, and additional coordinated attacks that increase total team damage. This allows some teams to replace a traditional support with another offensive unit without sacrificing survivability. Her importance skyrockets in Frolova teams, where she essentially enables the entire Echo skill damage strategy. Outside that environment, she is still excellent, but her true power shines brightest when fully supported. Zani quickly became one of the strongest Spectro damage dealers thanks to her devastating Spectro Frazzle-based gameplay. For multiple patches, she dominated discussions around top-tier damage dealers and earned her reputation through consistently high performance. Recent updates have shifted more attention toward tune break mechanics, reducing the spotlight on Spectro Frazzle compositions. Even so, Zani remains a powerhouse capable of competing with nearly every damage dealer in the game. Chiakona is one of the most versatile support characters currently available. She applies aero erosion, inflicts Spectro Frazzle, buffs teammates, and weakens enemies all at the same time. Few characters can contribute to as many team archetypes as she can. Her value increased dramatically with the arrival of Cartefia, who can fully capitalize on her aero erosion application and aero damage bonuses. Together, they form one of the strongest synergies in the current meta. Cartefia is among the strongest aero damage dealers ever released, capable of producing enormous damage numbers when fully invested. She can even apply aero erosion herself, making her less dependent on teammates than many players initially expected. The catch is that she requires significant investment and benefits greatly from premium partners like Chiakona. At lower investment levels, she can feel somewhat underwhelming, but when fully built, she becomes an absolute monster. Lupa is essentially the missing puzzle piece that fusion teams were waiting for. Her ability to elevate mono-fusion compositions pushes those teams to another level entirely. The downside is that her value drops significantly outside of those dedicated setups since she wants every teammate to be fusion. If you are committed to a fusion-focused roster, Lupa feels incredible. If not, her team-building restrictions become much more noticeable. Galbrina is a fascinating fusion damage dealer because her damage comes from both echo skill damage and heavy attack damage. This split scaling allows her to fit into several different teams, but it also creates a strange problem where very few teammates can fully maximize her potential. The lack of strong echo skill damage support options means she often relies heavily on her signature weapon to unlock her true strength. Even with those limitations, her damage output remains impressive enough to earn a place in S tier. Chuyuan has rapidly become one of the most valuable support-oriented sub-damage dealers in the game. His rotation is quick, straightforward, and highly efficient, allowing him to pass multiple echo skill damage buffs and amplification effects to the next character with minimal downtime. On top of that, he provides additional critical damage bonuses that further increase team performance. He may not dominate damage charts himself, but the value he brings to teammates is enormous. Rebecca is a solid sub-damage dealer that specializes in supporting heavy attack-focused characters while contributing respectable damage herself. Her unique dual-gun playstyle keeps her rotations engaging, and her partnership with Lucy through the hack-shifting mechanic creates a distinctive team archetype. While she does not redefine the meta as a general sub-damage dealer, she remains a fantastic free addition for players who participated throughout version 3.4. Lucy serves as a straightforward and effective main damage dealer built around heavy attack damage and a unique hack damage mechanic. Her crowd control tools, smooth gameplay, and accessible build requirements make her one of the easiest premium damage dealers to pick up and use effectively. She may not completely reshape the meta, but she consistently performs at a high level while being much easier to support than many other modern characters. Sanhua rounds out the tier as one of the strongest sub-damage dealers in Wuthering Waves. Her ability to grant basic attack damage amplification for 14 seconds is incredibly valuable because so many top-tier damage dealers rely heavily on basic attacks. She also contributes meaningful personal damage, though maximizing her effectiveness requires consistently detonating her rise structures with heavy attacks. Once mastered, Sanhua becomes one of the most efficient support options available. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Shorekeeper, Frolova, Augusta, Yuno, Laini, Morny, Amieth, Luke Herson, Sigrika, Hiyuki, Denia, and Lucilla. Shorekeeper sits at the very top of the support hierarchy, and honestly, it is not difficult to see why. She heals, boosts critical rate and critical damage, amplifies team damage, helps characters recover from knockdowns, and can even prevent a knockout entirely. No matter what team you are building, Shorekeeper almost always feels like the correct answer for the third slot. If there were a most valuable character award in Wuthering Waves, she would probably win it every single patch. Frolova is one of the most explosive havoc damage dealers in the game, specializing in resonance skill damage and echo skill damage. Her team options may look limited at first, but when everything is invested properly, she transforms into a monster capable of shredding even the toughest content. The catch is that she demands commitment. Her signature weapon is incredibly important, and her strongest teams require specific setups. Expensive? Absolutely. Worth it? Also absolutely. Augusta has completely redefined what players expect from an electro damage dealer. Her heavy attack focused gameplay hits incredibly hard, but the real showstopper is her ability to stop time for 7 full seconds. Not only does this freeze enemies, it also pauses various timers, creating opportunities that few other characters can replicate. What makes Augusta even more impressive is how easy she is to build. Despite her incredible power ceiling, she remains surprisingly friendly to free-to-play players thanks to accessible teammates and straightforward gear requirements. Yuno is the kind of character that makes team building easier simply by existing. She boosts heavy attack damage, heals the team, restores stamina, and contributes meaningful personal damage all at the same time. Very few characters can provide so much utility without sacrificing effectiveness. While her weapon options can be restrictive and her maximum potential is closely tied to Augusta, there is no denying that Yuno is one of the most complete sub-damage dealers currently available. Chiza is one of the most unique support characters in the game because she focuses entirely on negative status effects. She increases stack limits, reduces enemy defenses, and enhances multiple status-based strategies. Right now, her biggest issue is that there are not enough teams fully utilizing everything she offers. Even so, she already serves as a luxury upgrade for aero erosion and spectro-frazzle compositions. If future updates continue expanding status effect mechanics, Chisa's value could skyrocket even further. Laini is a sub-damage dealer who somehow manages to excel both inside and outside of combat. In battle, she provides universal damage bonuses, amplification effects, tune break support, and impressive personal damage. Outside combat, she becomes one of the best exploration characters available thanks to her roller skates, camouflage abilities, and vehicle upgrades. It is rare to find a character that improves nearly every aspect of gameplay, but Laini somehow checks all the boxes. Morny has quickly established herself as one of the strongest support healers in the game. Much like Shorekeeper, she combines healing, utility, and powerful buffs into a single package. What separates her is her strong connection to tune break and off-tune mechanics. She increases overall damage, boosts off-tune build-up, enhances enemy damage taken, and provides additional survivability through defense bonuses and interruption resistance. If tune break teams continue growing in popularity, Morny will likely remain at the center of them. Amith is one of the most meta-defining damage dealers ever introduced. Whether she is leading a tune rupture composition or a fusion burst team, she consistently performs at the highest level. Her ability to apply and consume Fusion Burst herself gives her tremendous independence, while her self-buffing mechanics push her damage ceiling into absurd territory. Add in team-wide damage amplification and even flight utility through her mech, and you have a character that feels loaded with advantages from every angle. Luke Herson serves as the face of the Tune Strain archetype. His entire kit revolves around building and exploiting Tune Strain stacks to massively increase his damage output. The gameplay can be demanding since much of his damage comes from aerial combos that require careful stamina management and good positioning. However, players willing to master his mechanics are rewarded with some of the highest sustained damage numbers currently available in the game. Sigrika is a hyper carry built around echo skill damage, and when properly supported she becomes absolutely terrifying. Her damage multipliers are among the highest in Wuthering Waves, and her self-buffing mechanics allow her to reach incredible levels of power even at low sequence levels. Beyond raw damage, she also brings valuable crowd control that can completely change the pace of difficult endgame encounters. She may require investment, but the payoff is undeniably worth it. Hiyuki has already proven herself as one of the strongest Glacio damage dealers. Despite her archetype still having room to grow, her Glacio chafe mechanic gives her a unique identity, and future characters could make her even stronger than she already is. Right now, she boasts huge damage multipliers, reliable self-buffs, crowd control, damage negation, and devastating burst attacks. Few characters offer such a complete package, which is why Hiyuki comfortably sits among the strongest units in the game. Dania thrives as a specialist support for Fusion Burst and Tune Strain teams. While she does not provide broad universal buffs like some other top-tier supports, she excels within her intended compositions. Her rotations are fast, her off-field damage is excellent, and her erosion field provides both sustained damage and crowd control. She understands her role perfectly and performs it at an elite level, making her an invaluable teammate for the characters she was designed to support. Lucilla rounds out the S+ tier as one of the most flexible sub-damage dealers in the current meta. In Glacio Chafe teams, she serves as an exceptional stack generator and damage amplifier. In Echo skill focused teams, she becomes one of the strongest support options available thanks to her powerful Echo skill buffs and naturally high scaling. The fact that she can perform at such a high level across multiple archetypes is exactly what earns her a place among the very best characters in Wuthering Waves. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.